Hello, my friends. Hello, and welcome back. We got another episode of Guardians Daily for you. Obviously, we are back on the Fan Arch Network. As always, I'm your host, Luke Gable. And yeah, that was a blowout last night. They got rocked. Didn't look that way early. It was a 2-2 game going in, middle innings. And then they slayed Saccone. Man, guy I've been really generous on, really tried to have his back, and really had high expectations for this season, in this rotation. I really thought he was going to be the guy who broke out. Thankfully, we have had other guys really step up. Obviously, Messick, who pitches tonight. We'll talk him a little later in the episode. But that was bad. That was real bad. Really bad last night for Saccone. And that's like the second time this year. Well, first off, that's the second time this year he's really just gotten rocked. But also, Steven Vogt just kind of had to leave him out there to dry. You know what I mean? Just second. I mean, obviously in Seattle early in the season, he kind of had a similar thing. The bullpen was not in a great spot in terms of available arms. And then it's like, all right, you're going to have to figure a way to get this over with. And they were just hitting everything. Some of it was just like, I mean, these are hard hit, great getting through. And then some of these are just like, that's just not comfortable on the mound. Ended up being a blowout last night. I think it ended up being like 9-3. It was bad. Bad in Cleveland and a bad series opener, especially against the Astros. No one likes the Astros. We all know why no one likes the Astros. So when they come to town, and I get like one of the most forgotten playoff series ever is that 2018. That always bugs me. That was part of the year when that Indians lineup was loaded. That was Lindor, that was Ramirez, that was Carnacion, Brantley, they had Josh Donaldson. If anyone remembers Josh Donaldson as an Indian, he was a part of that. Yonder Alonso, like that team was awesome, and that was one of the years where the Astros were part of that cheating scandal. So I've always held that against me, the fact that team got so wasted. I mean, that playoff series was a joke. They got beaten 3 games. And that team had everything it needed to make a run, especially that was the year bouncing off the 2017 season loss to the Yankees. So when Houston comes to town, you want to play your best. You want to get every chance you can to stick it to them. And that was not that last night. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this series looks basing off. And I don't know where we go here with Slade Saccone. I don't know if it's time for a move in this rotation. I think it's a little early, but we're getting there. And I think it's just going to be you have to weigh how much you like which version of Saccone is the real him, and what are you really going to get from Slade when he steps on the mound? Because we've seen it. Like last year, there was a lot to like, especially in that second half with Slade. And I think maybe he's a guy who just gets off slow starts, and it takes him time to get into the season. You never know. Maybe that's his deal. And sometimes there's guys like that. Remember, you've seen it from hitters. Like Carlos Santana was a historically slow start player, but once he turned it on, he ended up being I mean, he's been in the league for 30 years, it feels like. One of my favorites. But he always kind of knew early in the year you weren't going to get him at his best. I don't know if you can afford to do that as much as a starting pitcher. You're pitching every 5 days. Your moments are magnified when you're going to struggle. And especially with a staff as good as ours, you're the odd man out and you stand out even more. Like if you're on a hey, but this is a bad rotation, we don't have a lot of great arms, and everyone's kind of getting rocked every night, blends in. When you got Messick, when you got Cantillo, when you got Gavin throwing great to start the season and just pitching their butt off, then you go out there as Slade and just get rocked as much as it's happened early this year. It's going to be a talking point, and it's going to be a thing where now people are aware of when your starts are coming and seeing if look that's just the expectation. We've seen it with Bybee as well. There was a little bit of that sense going into his last start against Baltimore on Friday. Thankfully, we got probably his best start of the season, and he looked really sharp on Friday night. Hopefully, that's a thing to come for Tanner going forward. But now with Slade, I just don't know where the turn is here. Do we just stick with him? And I mean, I think right now there's the team's playing good enough baseball, and I don't think there's that guy in AAA banging on the door right now to try and take one of these rotation spots from a Saccone. And I think that's the only spot that'd be available. I mean, right now, obviously with Bybee's contract, he's locked in there. And I think Tanner is still a good enough pitcher. He's a good big league pitcher. He'll figure it out enough. Just not going to be that ace that we kind of hoped he would be. And everyone else has been so darn good that it just gets to a point where Slade just he just stands out like a sore thumb. And I don't know where we go from here. I think he's gonna he should let's be curious. Is he making his next start? I'm gonna say yes, and it's gonna be a big one for him because it's time. We're getting to the point where I don't think people are gonna be as forgiving. You're starting to get into the season a little bit more established. Gonna be interesting, and I feel that, and this sucks because I like Slade Saccone. I like his stuff too, and I think that's why this is so frustrating because I like his fastball, and I think he's got good stuff off of it. He just doesn't look like he's pitching with the confidence and comfortability he did last season. So that needs to change for him. Another guy who's kind of struggling right now, Chase DeLauder. Obviously got off to the incredible historic start to this season and to start his MLB career. And things have cooled off. Okay, that's okay. I think I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter on all these things with a little bit of panic on DeLauder. And I still think, is it time to struggle? Is it time to get worried? No. No. He's a month into his career. If before the season started, obviously you can say, before the season started, you said these are his numbers on April 21st, pretty darn excited about Chase DeLauder. And you can say, yeah, he got them all in the first week. Great. But he's still been hitting the ball hard. I think especially in that series against Baltimore, he had a couple. He really drove into the gap in right center. They were kind of shading him that way, and he made good plays. But Chase DeLauder has the talent and the skill set of a guy. You just need him in the lineup. I'm just excited every time I see him in the lineup playing, figuring it out, learning as a player. He's a rookie. That's part of this learning experience. You just don't see guys sustain that level of success in their big league like as rookies early in their career. We've seen a lot of guys get off to these crazy numbers and starts to begin seasons or when they get called up and they just go on boom, they're on a run. There's gonna be that come down to earth, come down, settle in. And now where does he even out to is where my focus is gonna be. Where is the baseline? Because we've seen how good it can be when he's on and he's staying on the ball and he's just driving it out of the ballpark and just with that unconventional little short swing, but you can see the power it generates. But where does it fall when he's not doing that level? You know what I mean? Where does he kind of pencil in? Like where his numbers settle in for his career will be really interesting to watch over these next couple seasons. Even just like when it's great, it's great. How good is it? We've seen that, and then how bad are his lows going to be? Not like he's been. It's not like he's been terrible or anything. He's still playing good baseball and he's still putting up quality at bats. But it's interesting to see looking forward to where are his low points going to be and how deep do his slumps get? Because we've got guys on this team in the past. You see how good things are when they're hot, but then their dips are so low and their struggles and their slumps are really just so brutal to be like a word for you. I'm curious how bad his bad little stretches are going to be throughout, especially this season. Keep an eye on that. Like where when he's not seeing the ball great and not putting on when it's like, man, the water's hot right now. How are the slow parts of his season going to be? Will be interesting, and that'll really affect his floor and his ceiling for him as a player, especially for this 2026 roster and what he's going to mean to this team. Not as much projecting for his entire big league career. And another guy I've been seeing a lot of Juan Brito chatter. Obviously, he's made the errors at second base, and it almost cost them the game Sunday as well. And obviously, it did cost them the game in St. Louis against the Cardinals. Okay. I think you're figuring it out with Brito. I mean, this is a guy in his first month up at the big league level. He's not the smoothest second baseman. I get it. He's not. And I mean, unless if he is and it's just not translating and it's a little bit of nerves or whatever you want to call it. But there's something there with him at the plate that I think's worth it, especially because you've been given this opportunity to see it with the Arias injury. Like that kind of just gifted you a chance. I know a lot of people wanted it to be Bazana. I kind of wanted it to be Bazana. I think it'd be fun if it was, but I don't think they're there yet. Burrito's been knocking on the door for a few years now. Here's his chance, and it's an extended one because of the length Arias is going to be out. So now you have all this time where Burrito gets his chance to fill in. Why not just see what you really have? Like pulling the plug early on this experience on his opportunity seems silly to me. I'm not saying he has to play every day. He doesn't have to be your everyday second baseman. Kind of has been, and I actually have liked what I've seen from him, especially at the plate. He's put quality at bats together. He's got a really good eye. He doesn't chase, especially for a young hitter. I feel like that's super valuable. His patience at the plate and that discipline, I think that's a huge thing, especially early in a career where you don't see, especially from these young guys coming out of AAA. Like they just come up swinging at everything, trying to hit homers, trying to go out of the ballpark. I don't feel like that's been his approach, and I think that's a good sign. And they said they do a really good job in Cleveland. I was listening on the radio yesterday. They were talking about the programs and things that they have in place for these players, like these Latin players, like Rocchio, like Ramirez, all these guys from different parts of the world coming over and trying to get them integrated into the clubhouse, into the communities, into the cultures. And I think that we are so advanced in that compared to some of these other organizations that you can see a young guy like Brito step in and just kind of gel. He has guys he can relate with Rocchio, with Arias, who's still in the club in the house and a bit around, even though he's injured, with Jose being such a good leader for these young guys, that giving a short leash does us no good. We have so much time in this season. There's like we always like to say, there's 162 games. You can apply it to last night. Like I'm not going to come on here and freak out because Saccone got rocked and we got blown out by the Astros. Like it's a bummer, it's annoying, and you kind of just turn the page and keep going. We're gonna be playing again tonight. We got Parker Messick on the mound, and I'm excited for Parker Messick. So I think Brito right now is a place where this is an opportunity to see what you have here. Why rush that experience, especially when you've had this opportunity come because of what Arias is going to be out, especially because you don't have as much roster flexibility with Arias because of how you can't deal. If you send him down, he's gone. So that's a spot in a spot which some people may be okay with, but I don't think the Guardians are not at this point. I think they like what they have in Arias still. So he's going to get a spot when he comes back. So right now, see what you can do with these middle infielders. Rocchio seems to be finding his home at shortstop. I don't think Rocchio should be leaving the shortstop position anytime soon for this team. I think that's his position going forward. If you ask me, I don't care about Arias coming back. I think if he's going to have to figure his way out, Rocchio's locked in there, and he's locked in that number 9 spot in the lineup. But like we mentioned a couple times, tonight we are back at Progressive Field, 6:10 first pitch, and it's a guy a lot of people would like to watch pitch. Oh, pitch. Parker Messick. He's on the mound, been one of, if not the best pitcher in baseball, definitely the best rookie pitcher in baseball. Off to an incredible, historic start. Obviously, almost had a no-hitter in his last outing. Interested to see how he responds after, obviously, the emotions and everything of that game. Also, he threw almost 115 pitches in the effort to get it. So how do they approach things with him tonight? Is he on maybe a little bit of a shorter leash pitch count wise because of how deep into the game he went on his last start? He's a young guy. He's got a fresh arm. I wouldn't think too much into it, but you never know, especially if he starts to have traffic early and has to push the pressure on a little bit early in the game. But yes, if you got a chance tonight, you got some free time. You're before the NBA playoffs start if you're looking for that, before the NHL hockey, whatever you're into. You got a 6:10 first pitch. First thing on the docket. Watch Parker Messick on the mound against the Houston Astros. Let's see what everyone is so excited about because I know I am. I think he's going to pitch another beauty tonight. And we can talk about it all tomorrow morning as we are back with another Guardians Daily. I appreciate you tuning in. As always, go Guardians.